Hello. Okay, I'm trying to get enough. I'm using my laptop camera right now, which does not work quite as well as my phone camera, but here we are. Welcome to Poetry Thursday. I'm going to read a speculative piece of poetry called Radioactivity by Octavia Cade. I chose this poem because, honestly, no particular reason except that I wanted to do a Poetry Thursday and I am interested in learning more about speculative poetry. So I was particularly looking for an example of speculative poetry, and I just looked up poetry in Uncanny Magazine because I know that Uncanny Magazine is a free online speculative fiction magazine. And I found this work by Octavia Cade. Octavia Cade wrote The Stone Weta, which it kind of rides the line between novel and novella, depending on what your definition is. But it's a wonderful story all about women in a near future who are collecting data about basically climate data about the global warming and stuff, data that's trying to be hidden by governments and corporations. And yeah, so she's an interesting author to me. I'm curious about reading more of her work. I know that she does have another novella that just came out, I believe. I don't remember what it's called, but needless to say, she is a voice in the speculative fiction community, and I was curious to read her work. This poem today is entitled Radioactivity, and it is about the Curies, kind of. I'm going to just go ahead and read it. There is a link below if you want to follow along. Data is not an element that has ever been bloodless. Ranunculus, aquatilus, and radium. One has petals that are pale in vases and reflect moonlight. The other walks in empty spaces and footprints glow behind it. Marie Curie was poisoned by her blood. She kept radium in her pocket. It bit her with bright teeth, with bright, thin needle teeth, and experimental gears. I wonder if her hair fell out. I never thought to check. I don't suppose it matters. She did it to herself. Decay and dignity were isotopic together. Ignorance or implicit permission. Marie's shoes have flowers in them, water buttercups from one of the last days she spent with Pierre, gathering flowers in the country. Then he died in the street, the buttercups still fresh in their vase. To keep them, Marie pressed the petals between books, but there they were hidden in covers, out of sight, and not nearly painful enough. She pressed them in shoes instead, her whole weight come down upon them lightly, translucent. This is lost, she thinks, the feel of cellulose, imbued with the slow, warm itch of laboratory, the particles she transfers from element to flesh to funeral flowers. Her cookbook is kept in a lined box now. It's too radioactive to live outside of lead, so they say. But when the covers open up, buttercups sprout from the round, radioactive prints of fingertips. The petals catch in the book's spine and fill the box with the scent of watery stems. The shoes she wrapped up and stuffed in the back of wardrobe, because flowers following behind made her feel too much a sacrament. There's nothing sacred about grief. It's revolting, a mess in the streets, blood in the gutter, bones shifting uneasily and broken under skin. He was run over, the husband who brought her buttercups, run down the street, and all she has of him are shoes stained with radium. Everything she touches becomes half a lie, half alive. And water flowers, wild flowers that come alive in footprints. So that poem, I don't know, I ended up really liking it. I just kind of randomly chose it, but it's moving, right? It's about grief and life. And I ended up having to look up a couple of things because I am not familiar with the term isotopic. So I'm just going to just read quickly what the internet says. Isotopes are members of a family of an element that all have the same number of protons, but different numbers of neutrons, and blah, blah, blah. So, it's like an elemental thing. It determines the element's atomic number in the periodic table. I feel like if I was a little more scientific and understood these things better, maybe there would be a little bit more meaning there. But as it is, this goes over my head. If you feel like you can pull some more meaning out of that line because you have a deeper familiarity with isotope and stuff, please let me know in the comments. Hi, David. Good to see you. Okay, so then I had to look up, how did Pierre Curie die? Like, it says in here that it was a traffic accident, or like he was run over in the street. And I looked it up, and he did. He was run over by, back then it was still horse-drawn carts, which is crazy. And then we all know that Marie Curie died because of her experiments with radioactivity. So she died of radioactive or radium poisoning. Um, and they say that her husband also would have if he had been run over. But this is just like, I don't know, it's just like already so much tragedy with the whole story of Marie Curie. So then to know that she also lost her husband, and she carried these flowers around. I also have to wonder, like, is this part of her history? Did they pick flowers together that were still fresh when he died? Because that's like so tragic and poetic and sad and beautiful. And I also love the discussion just of grief and how sometimes it's romanticized and in some ways poetic and beautiful, but also I love how she says grief is not sacred. It's revolting. It's messy. Um, I don't know. It's just, it speaks to me. So let me know what your thoughts are about the poem. Um, was any of this new to you also? Or did you have more familiarity with the story of the Curies? And I don't know. It's just cool. And this reminds me a lot of, like, I can definitely hear Octavia Cade's voice as an author in this. Having read Stone Weta, she does a lot of descriptions of like biology kinds of things. Like she does a lot of descriptions of really obscure creatures and plants and things. And you can kind of hear that in here too. Like just, she clearly has this deep love and fascination with life, like biology and just how it works and everything. So super cool. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you next week. Bye.